Hello! Today, our group are going to explain about the unique characteristic of animals, phylum Porifera and phylum Cnidaria.
Hi, my name is Yasmin Hanani binti Anwar, AS137X0. I'm from K20. Hi, my name is Nur Shakila binti Ramlan Rus, AS14055, and I'm from K20. Hi, my name is Fatin Nuri Nabila, AS14021. I'm from K20.
You must be wondering, what are the unique characteristics of animals? Let me share with you. Firstly, it is a multicellular heterotroph. But what are heterotrophs? A heterotroph is an organism that eats other plants or animals for energy or nutrient. It can be herbivores, carnivores, omnivores, or even parasites based on the eating habits. The next video will explain more about it.
It's very simple. Plant eaters are herbivores, meat eaters are carnivores, and animals that eat both plants and animals are omnivores.
Even though all my favorite animals ate different things, they all had one thing in common. They were all heterotrophs. Generally, animals are heterotrophs, which means they consume organic matter. It doesn't matter whether they are eating plants, meat, or both. They are heterotrophs, also known as consumers.
Now, let's move on to the next one. The other unique characteristic of animals is that they reproduce sexually or both sexually and asexually. Next, animals are very diverse in size, shape, and color, but they are divided into two, which are invertebrates and vertebrates. Besides, the animal kingdom includes 35 phyla. Most of them occur at sea, less in freshwater, and even on land. The next video will explain about invertebrates and vertebrates.
The animal kingdom is divided into two groups, invertebrates and vertebrates. But today we'll talk about the vertebrates. The animals with a backbone are called vertebrates, which are further split into smaller groups. Amphibians, reptiles, birds, and mammals, invertebrates. Animals without a backbone are called invertebrates, which are further classified into worms, sea jellies, mollusks, arthropods, and sponges.
Animals also lack of cell walls, but many cells are instead held together by extracellular lattices of structural protein that is collagen. Tissues perform specific function and flexible cells organize into tissues.
Okay, now I'm going to explain about the unique characteristic of phylum Porifera. Surprisingly, SpongeBob is also considered as phylum Porifera, as you can see here. Okay, now let's move on to the definition of phylum Porifera. Phylum Porifera are the lowest multicellular animals belonging to the kingdom of Animalia. The word Porifera mainly refers to the pore-bearers or pore-bearing species. Based on the embryological studies, sponges are proved as animals and are classified into a separate phylum in animals. So as you guys can see here, there are a lot of types phylum Porifera that can be found in the sea. Okay, what are sponges? Sponges is actually simple animals with no mouth, muscle, heart or brain. Next, they are sessile, which they cannot move from one place to another, which means they only grow at that one particular place. Other than that, very few animals eat sponges to live, for example, turtles. Next, it grows in one place like most plants do. I want to mention here that sponges is not a plant but they are actually animals too. And lastly, some types of sponges can live up to 200 years. Next, let's move on to the characteristics. So for characteristic, I have divided it into several types so it will be easier for you guys to understand. So the first one is based on the physical characteristics. So sponges are basically asymmetrical, where you guys can see here at the diagram here. No symmetry means the left and right side is not the same. Next, the physical characteristic is they have bright colored, which means most of the sponges are bright colored such as yellow, orange or red. So here are the examples of the pictures of sponges. Okay, so here a bigger picture of the shape and size vary, where you guys can see here there's like several types of sponges. For example, a red boring sponge, encrusting sponge, finger sponge, variable sponge, and tube sponge, which is different in size and shapes. Okay, next, let's look at the structure's characteristics. The first one, phylum porifera called pores, which is the tiny holes in the sponge body that let water, gases, and food in and out. Next, the shape is like a tube with the end stuck to an object like rocks. And last but not least, there's an open end called osculum and the interior called sponge cell. So as you guys can see at the diagram here, the osculum is located at the upper part of the sponges. At the upper part of the sponge, and the sponge cell is like the middle part of the sponge. Okay, now I'm going to talk about the three body types of phylum porifera, which is only an additional information for you guys to know. So the first one is called acenoid, the second one is called cycenoid, and last one is called lacenoid. Acenoid and cycenoid are base-like, meanwhile lacenoid is shaped like kind of a rock or a lump. Okay guys, we are almost done for my part. Okay, next we will look at the detailed structure of phylum porifera. So they are called the simplest animal because sponges have only 4 types of cells, which are the zonocyte, porocytes, amoebocytes, and flat epidermal. So let's look at one by one. The first one is called zonocyte, which is located here. The function of zonocyte is the sponge digestive system. Next is porocytes, which is the pores. So you guys just remember poro means pores. Next is amoebocytes, which is the transport of nutrients, secretion of the spicules, and production of gametes. It is located at the bottom part of the structure. And last but not least is flat epidermal, which consists of endoderm and ectoderm. The function of flat epidermal is to line outside of the sponge, and it also forms its skin. Alright, so this is the very last part for my presentation, where we will look at the types of reproduction, which is asexual and sexual.
During sexual reproduction, male sperm cells are released into the water. The sperm cells enter other sponges and fertilize female egg cells. The egg cells develop into free-swimming larvae and are released into the water. The larvae eventually find a place to settle and attach themselves to the sea floor, and the life cycle of these strange and simple animals continues.
Asexual reproduction sponges is through budding, where a small piece of sponge falls off of the main sponge and grows into a new one, also called a Gymule. It is a part of a sponge that falls off when they feel that someone wanna harm or eat them, so that they still live even if their main body dies. In other words, they have tremendous regenerating powers.
Okay, we move on to the next part, which is I will present about unique characteristic of phylum cnidaria. As you can see, one of example phylum cnidaria is jellyfish. Okay, the characteristic of phylum cnidaria. They have tissue organization and a body plan displaying radial symmetry. As you can see, the picture of radial symmetry. And the body is organized as a two-layered hollow sac with the mouth and surrounding tentacle at one end. And then have two body forms, which is dimorphism. First is polyp and second is medusa. Okay, now we will see their structure. The mouth of their structure is located at the center and the tentacle of the polyp is located upper part of the body, while medusa tentacle is located down part of the body. Okay, we're going to the next part, characteristic of phylum cnidaria. They are diploblastic, which is they have two tissue. The first is tissue endoderm and second is the tissue externum. Tissue endoderms give rise to the inner gastrodermis and tissue ectoderm give rise to the epidermis, which is outermost layer of the structure. Epidermis and gastrodermis are separated by a gelatinous or acellular material that called the mesoglia. As you can see, the mesoglia are located between the two structures and mesoglia is separated them. Okay, other than that, cnidarian cells have specialized structure, which is cnidocyte. Cnidocyte is specialized stinging cell in epidermis and used to capture prey. And we have nematocytes, which is stinging structure inside cnidocyte and realized by touch and have spines filled with toxins. Okay, let's go see the cnidarians capture prey.
Their mouth and tentacles are in the lower part of their body. The tentacles have toxic substances which jellyfish use to capture their prey. Oopsie! I'm afraid it's lunchtime. Some jellyfish swim in the water, and others are simply dragged by the sea currents. They're so lazy. Polyp animals form another group of cnidarians. They live on reefs or attach themselves onto rocks using their suckers. Polyps also have tentacles and a mouth which they use to feed themselves. But unlike jellyfish, their mouth and tentacles are in the upper part of their body. Watch out! Cnidarians are really hungry today.
Okay, we move on to the last part in phylum cnidarians, which is classification of cnidaria. We have divided into three classes, in which firstly is class Hydrozoa. They mostly is marine and a few is freshwater species. And there is a very small predatory polyps, which is relatively common cnidarians. And some are colonial and others are solitary. And most of them exist in colonial with specialized region, which is feeding, budding, and defense. Okay, next is the class Artozoa that contain the sea anemones and corals. And there is a largest cnidarians class and do not have a medusa stage in their development. And they have either individual or colonial polyps only. Okay guys, we're going to the last part, which is class Cyphozoa. The medusa is the main stage in their life cycle and they have either no polyp stage or a much reduced polyp stage.